Yes. A lot of bodies.
Some people watched the Periscope and said, why do you guys do the show in the dark? So we don't sweat to death.
Well,
Doesn't help.
I'm fine.
You have no body fat, Brian.
Is that my fault?
Craig says that like it's an insult.
No. How dare I?
What do you think of being so lean all the time?
How dare I? All right, let's get going.
Which show do we... Nitro first?
No,
We
Raw.
always do Raw first, Vinny.
Do we?
Yeah.
I forget about the show the minute I walk out the door.
Sounds about right.
So they used the Dracula music again for the pre-show little hype video, and appropriately they used the Dracula music and then cut to Castle Pillman, his enormous house in Kentucky, just across the state line from Cincinnati. So they play the Dracula music, they go to his house, and they're promising Shawn and Sid having a face-off tonight and whatever else was on the show.
My
And,
stupid internet down again.
Yeah, it is.
yeah, it was. Do you want to
Still is.
pause the show while you fix that?
Well, will everyone be able to do this show without internet?
Unless you tell me to look something up. I don't mind.
This is now the third straight day that my internet has decided to go down and I have to restart the router. 3 straight days now.
Time to get a new router.
It's time to do something. Well, I have this hotspot here, so I'm going to use that.
All right.
And this will also prevent Vinny from surfing the web during the show, so maybe this will work out great for everybody. All right,
How dare you
let's continue on.
accuse me of unprofessionalism?
Well, I'm not worried today because the Seahawks aren't playing. Sundays.
Well, see, I can't do my Periscope now because no.
Oh, see?
There you go.
Can you record a video and put it on Periscope later?
No.
Doesn't work that way?
No.
So, yeah, Kevin Kelly was in
Goddamn phones.
Brian Pillman's driveway, and he was fumbling his lines to guarantee this actually was live. He promised Steve Austin would appear.
I can't do anything right now.
Let's just pause the show.
let's just bide some time while I wait for this to connect to my phone.
I see.
It should be happening any time now.
Just continue, Vinny.
Do you watch this on your Xbox?
Oh, the Raw? No, I watched this just on my laptop.
I see. All right. Now we're good. Oh, it was up there the whole time. It was right here in front of me. I didn't even need my internet. Oh, well, now I can surf the web. Okay, where were we?
Okay. So, yeah.
Kevin Kelly.
He says Steve Austin is coming to Pillman's house. Stay
Thank
tuned.
God I had my notes, because I have so much to say about this that I wouldn't have remembered if I didn't have my notes.
I don't believe you.
So you know what this show was? This was another one of those Russo-rific shows. He had to have been here. Mm-hmm. Because you can already see it. Somebody went up to Vince and they said, Vince, if this were real, then Steve Austin, if he threatened to go to Brian Pillman's house, Brian Pillman would have a gun, and he would try to shoot Steve Austin. We've got to turn this into the storyline. Now, the problem with this logic is that's not what would happen if this were real. If this were real, and Steve Austin had threatened to go to Brian Pillman's house when he's got a broken ankle and children,
With a week's notice.
he'd have police there.
Yeah.
Not his 3 geek friends and a 9mm. This is completely unrealistic. It's preposterous.
From the that was my conclusion to all this. Well, we'll get to the conclusion later, but yes. At no point did I think this came off as believable in any way.
No.
The credits are rolling. Either Vince or Lawler, I'm not sure which one, but he cleared his throat right into his mic.
He did. It was a very Vinny moment.
Yep. They did emphasize that Pillman's children have been sent away for their safety, but his wife was still there.
Right.
What?
Why didn't they
Yeah.
all go to safety?
Well, someone needed to get a broken ankle.
And
can't leave the house?
No, someone needed to tend to his every need.
Yeah.
Feed him grapes.
Opening match was Goldust versus Giant Spike Dudley.
Craig has had a serious leg injury. When it had just occurred and you were just getting out of the hospital, it was helpful to have somebody there, right?
yes, Brian.
See, there you go.
Did she feed you grapes?
She did that this afternoon.
Oh, there you go then. Even better.
See?
So, yeah, it was the stalker, Barry Windham. He taught them out of having to put face paint on. They said, just put these camel pants on and call it good. He puts on red and black camel pants, a black T-shirt. His hair's all poofy and light, and I thought, hey, that's Giant Spike Dudley.
No, it was young Barry Windham and old Colonel De Beers put together,
Some of that, too.
which is a really weird look. And he was randomly a babyface this week.
I think he's been a babyface before. It's been hard to tell because the matches have been so bad. But he's on the Babyface Survivor Series team. All their teammates were out there, which means, yes, this was the on-camera, in front of a crowd, Raw debut of one Rocky Maivia.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They made sure to mention him by name.
Yes. So they're doing this match. Doc Hendricks interrupts to let the world know Steve Austin has arrived in Cincinnati. He's driving to Pillman's house. He's on the phone. He wants to talk to Vince. Yes, Greg?
He's arrived in Cincinnati. Like they got somebody tailing him,
Yes.
watching his every move.
Austin called in himself.
I see.
Austin watch. Like, you know, you can go to Santa watch on Christmas Eve and watch his flight.
I see.
Same thing with Steve.
Apparently he had a car phone.
Steve had a car phone in 1996.
No, his cell phone, because they did mention his cell phone later in the show.
It was an amazing cell phone connection.
Yes.
One of those great big bricks.
Yeah. He says, I'm the biggest star in the world.
Before he talks, Doc is on the inset, and he says, Vince, Steve Austin wants to talk to you. And so, as soon as Steve Austin starts talking, Doc Hendricks just looks straight into the inset, and he frowns, and he shakes his head in disappointment. I can't believe that I'm part of this.
So, Austin,
Michael Hayes.
yes, who the man, if he was in the spot when he was younger, he'd have shot everyone. He was a wilder man. Anyway, Austin said, I'm the biggest star in the world. Vince, you won't let anything happen to me. He was trying to get over the Bible verse gimmick, paraphrased Pulp Fiction. Vince warns him Pillman has friends watching his back. Lawler screams, he's got a gun. Austin said the Vince Star thing, and he hung up.
And Vince said, let's not bring up the gun. This is not the pro wrestling world. This is real life.
Close to his actual words.
Real life.
Mm-hmm.
This.
So, we got, Goldust got thrown outside. The babyfaces all threw him back in, so Lawler left the announce desk to stand by his team. This meant solo Vince McMahon on commentary. His first line was to call Lawler the lecherous king.
Well, you know.
It was not inaccurate.
If the
crown fits.
If the lecherous crown fits.
Well, it's funny you should mention that because later in the show, there's another deal where it's Jim Ross and Vince, and they're bickering back and forth. Mm-hmm. And Jerry Lawler's finally had enough, and he's begging for them to call the action. And they keep bickering, and so Lawler decides, I'm just going to call the action. And literally, the first words out of his mouth are, there's Sable at ringside. This was what he noticed.
Yes. So, I believe Goldust's only offense in the entire match was to hit two headbutts and a kiss, and then Barry cut him off and beat him up some more.
Me?
No, Barry Windham.
Oh.
Not Barry Alvarez. I was confused there.
I was.
So they go to commercial, and then we get far and away the best thing on the show.
Oh, this was great.
Steve Austin by himself in an abandoned warehouse, cutting promos on that coward Bret Hart and that boy toy Shawn Michaels.
What a troll.
Says Bret, you disappeared. You quit with your tail between your legs. You ran back to Canada because you lost to a boy toy.
He says, we all know you quit because the sexy boy kicked your ass.
Yes.
And sent you back to Canada.
Says, Bret, I'm no sexy boy. I don't dance. If you come back, at least this time you'll know you got your ass kicked by a real man.
It was awesome.
This was great.
It was awesome.
So back to the match. It very quickly, predictably, became a giant battle royal. Best part of this was that Hunter was not dressed to wrestle. He's either in a suit or something close to it.
He was wearing the exact same thing Perfect was wearing.
Yeah.
The turtleneck and sports jacket.
Yeah. And he's trying
Great look.
He's trying very hard to do as little as possible. So everyone's brawling everywhere. The big spot was Rocky hitting a body press onto two dudes. They cleared the ring, and they played Mero's music. And to be fair, this is much better than the terrible stalker matches we've seen in the past.
Mero?
They played Mero's music. Mark Mero, the Wild Man.
because he ran in?
He was one of the babyface team, yeah.
Okay, I got it.
Allegedly, at this point, he was the biggest star. Well, the others were Mark Henry.
Wow, what a crew.
Mark Henry, who had like one match to this point. Rocky Maivia, who had not wrestled, and Barry Windham. So yes, Mark Mero was the biggest star.
Man. Bigger than Goldust?
On the babyface team.
I guess so.
Doc Hendricks plugged a Survivor Series, including Mankind versus Undertaker with Paul Bearer hanging above the ring in a cage. We got a Mankind promo talking about how Taker made him mad, but then Taker's music hit and his disembodied voice got a promo on these wicked men.
1996. This was exactly the same thing I saw on Raw last night.
A cage was wheeled down to ringside. Executioner, in his cheap Halloween costume, left the ring, tore the veil off the cage, revealing a fat dummy hung upside down.
The Executioner.
Drama.
Mm-hmm.
I like how they were building up their next house show tour. The Big Bang Boom Tour.
Yeah.
Also a name of a Hall & Oates album.
Wow.
There you go.
What a terrible time in WWE history.
It's really awful.
The Big Bang Boom Tour. And they started early this week. This was their big move to 757.
That's right.
That's why they had this great angle here. A taped show with live insets. That's their new idea to try to turn around the wrestling war. And also have a bunch of terrible matches where you bore people absolutely to death.
Yes.
And then you go to commercial, and you come back only to show a bad finish.
Yes.
It's not even like you come back and the comeback begins.
No.
You come back and there's 30 seconds of horrible action and a bad finish.
Brian speaks the truth.
Deadly accurate. So we're back in Pillman's living room. Pillman's on his couch, got his foot all cast up and elevated. Melanie is behind him, ready to star in every 1980s rock music video ever. Hair all teased up everywhere. Cleavage hanging out.
Low-cut leopard skin.
Leopard skin blouse.
Yes.
Just, you never know when that call might come in. And Kevin Kelly is there. And Vince starts talking to Pillman over the phone. Pillman says, I've been in many bitter feuds in wrestling, but Austin has crossed the line by threatening to come into my home. Vince warns them Austin is in the neighborhood, asks, do you feel like a hostage in your own house? And Pillman says, no, Steve is a dead man walking, because Austin 316 is no match for Pillman 9mm Glock. And he pulls out a gun.
Yeah.
And he's...
A gun.
Yeah.
Let's repeat that for the youngsters. Brian Pillman pulls out a gun.
Yeah.
And he says he's going to send Steve Austin straight to hell with the gun.
Brian Pillman pulls out a lethal weapon and says, if that man comes in here, I'm going to kill him.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Now, a couple of other notable things here. First, it was very sad. I hate to bring reality into this show, but Brian Pillman says, I have an excellent prognosis for 1997.
Yeah.
Can we not edit that off the show next time?
Yeah, that was no good.
And then Kevin Kelly is there. You got to see this.
Yes.
Kevin Kelly is sitting there, and his job, he has been sent to Cincinnati to go to Brian Pillman's house and interview him live on Raw. He's sitting there, he's looking at Brian Pillman, he's attempting to ask Brian Pillman questions, and all of a sudden, Vince McMahon's voice of God cuts in and just steamrolls Kevin Kelly and just takes over the interview. And Kevin Kelly, for a moment, just stares at Brian Pillman, and he doesn't talk, and he doesn't move, and then he just puts his head down, and he capitulates. This show.
That all happened. So, somebody screamed that Austin was outside, and everyone started screaming, and then they went to commercial. Teasing that if you stay tuned, you might see somebody die.
That is exactly what they were teasing.
Psycho Sid defeated Marlena in the Karate Fighters tournament. I believe this was a shoot contest.
I can only hope. I won't stand for a worked Karate Fighter tournament on Raw in 1996.
Can you imagine the spots they might have had planned? So after the break, Austin is randomly fighting men in Pillman's driveway. They were never named. I don't know if they were... I'm assuming they were random indie geeks or maybe Pillman's football buddies, whatever. Austin whips their asses for a while, throws them into various buildings and vehicles.
Kiddie pools.
It's all very 1980s hokey wrestling angle. And then he picks up a child's wagon and chucks it into a man's head.
Yes.
That looked bad.
I love that there was the kiddie pool spot, which must have been where I got it. I hadn't even thought about that till I watched this again. This was how it should be done. Steve Austin is the babyface. A bunch of idiot minions came to beat him up. I guess technically he was a heel.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Well, that screws that up. They must have known he was going to be a babyface. Because this was total babyface booking. Otherwise, they were completely incompetent.
It was monster heel booking.
I mean, it was this. Okay, so he was a heel, and he was going to face Bret Hart, a babyface.
Yes.
Okay, but him and Pillman were both heels.
Yes.
So technically, he was the babyface in this situation.
All right.
So this was booked correctly for this particular situation.
Why is this so important?
I don't know. Well, I'll tell you why. Because if we presume that he was being booked as a babyface in this situation, it is astonishing to see how well they did this. And nowadays, they can't book a babyface like Roman Reigns to save their lives.
That's true.
Austin shows up. Pillman, the heel, has a group of friends who are all incompetent. The heel has dumb friends.
Yes.
The babyface single-handedly beats up all of his dumb friends.
Yeah.
At no point do the dumb friends get the heat on Steve Austin.
No.
He single-handedly beats them up 1-on-4 or whatever it was.
3.
3.
I thought it was 2.
However many. The point is, this ain't hard.
So after destroying these men, Steve turns the corner to go to the front door. It was a mighty, mighty long walk.
It must have been.
Pillman's house is big. He gets to the front door and his plans are foiled when the door is locked.
Dang it.
Shit.
I hate it when that happens.
He should have just gone back to his car and driven off then. Mm-hmm. Instead, he walked around to the other side. He turned the corner and disappeared. And they then went back to the arena for action. Because we could stay here and sure...
No, it's
maybe
a
somebody will
wrestling
die.
show, Vinny.
We could call the police. We could put the show on hold while we get this situation calmed down.
Listen.
No, none of that can happen. We must show you Alex Porto versus the Sultan.
I am convinced there were no cops in Cincinnati. Because there were no cops at the beginning of the show. There were no cops after this event.
No.
There were no cops after the shooting. Mm-hmm. There were no cops when the show went off the air.
No. At one point they mentioned this. Where the hell are the cops?
And did you hear Kerwin Silphy's explanation?
We're in the sticks.
We're in the sticks, he said. It's like Cincinnati is the sticks.
Well, Kentucky.
I'm sure there's some sticks. Cincinnati? It's Ohio.
They were on the outskirts of Cincinnati
see.
in Kentucky.
It's right on the state line.
I see.
All right. So we did, in fact, get Alex Porto versus the Sultan. At this point, I wished I had a gun.
Really? Was it that bad?
No. Backlund promised that Sultan would carry us into the 21st century. No. Vince promised they would come back to Pillman's home in the event anything else happens.
Well, his kids. Sultan's kids carried us into the 21st century.
I guess. So Lawler had been in the back with his crew. He missed the whole gun angle. He comes back. He's stunned to learn Pillman had a gun. Vince admitted the...
Lawler is?
Yeah.
Wasn't Lawler the one who 20
Yes.
minutes ago said he has a gun?
Yes.
Yeah. I hadn't thought about that, but yes. That happened. Yeah, Lawler mentioned the gun before it showed up on camera and then forgot about it when he came back.
Well, he got a lot of things on his mind.
He does. He's got a Survivor
Lecherous.
Series match to get ready for. And
Got lechery.
Sable to leer at. Lechery.
He's got lechery on his mind.
So Vince admits that Austin and Pillman have been good friends and even tag team champions. A very rare instance of Vince McMahon on camera admitting other federations exist.
Have we talked about the match? Have we got to the finish yet?
Nothing happened.
But did you review the finish?
No.
He gave him the camel clutch and he won.
The accolade.
Yes.
But there's a key to this that's even more important than the finish. The best part of this match was when it's over.
Yeah.
The Sultan
Oh.
and the Sheik, besides the fact that it's over, Sultan and the Sheik, the Iron Sheik, go to hug each other, but they're both fat. And their stomachs literally get in the way, and they both extend their arms and they just kind of pat each other on the back like this. It was so awesome. I've never seen that.
Well, now you have. I'm glad you enjoyed the fat men hugging.
I did. I mean, they totally didn't fit together.
Alvarez. Jeez.
I don't know why this is so funny. But it is. Oh, God.
I was amused.
You don't say.
Crying with these two fat guys hugging. Trust me, it was worth it.
So, meanwhile, back in Cincinnati,
Things I notice.
Pillman has his
I wasn't watching the match.
the hug.
The hug, I could not help but see. Now, if one of them were inverted,
Askew. Yeah.
it'd have been a perfect match.
How do the Divas hug?
But lewd. Well, they can't. Well, those are more
Yeah.
Squishy. So
No.
and there's
Bree's chest is not less is
well,
less squishy
there's
than
two,
Chief's gut.
so they can slide and fit together like a puzzle.
I see.
But the two fat guys, there's no, you know what I mean?
No.
Craig Periscope this.
I can't. I don't have any internet.
Like I could put two forks together, right?
Sure.
But I can't put two balls on top of each other because
Oh God. I just stand up. My stomach is cramping. Oh God.
where is Periscope?
I
I hope this is 1% as funny to the listeners. I have a feeling it's not.
I don't care. I'm having fun.
Okay.
On second thought.
I was a much skinnier man than I am now at the time I met my wife.
You were?
I was.
Okay.
By like 50 pounds.
50 pounds?
A lot. And the day I realized I was gaining weight, because I used to hug her, and her chest would touch my chest, and that was great. And then one day I went to give her a hug, and before our chests touched, my belly touched hers.
Oh.
And I thought, oh no, I'm getting big. And then I did nothing to change
I was
course.
going to say, what changed?
This motivated me to accept fate.
This motivated you to get fatter so that your chest would expand.
Yes.
Okay. I got it.
Got it.
All makes sense now.
Yeah. So, back in Cincinnati, Pillman has his gun drawn. Kevin Kelly just standing there next to him. There's a noise in the kitchen. Austin breaks the glass window in the door and reaches in and opens the
Hell of a
doorknob.
security system this Brian Pillman had.
maybe that's where they got the idea of breaking the glass for his intro song.
It could have been.
I hadn't thought of that. So he opens the door. He's storming down the hallway. The camera pans back to Pillman, who is screaming and pointing his gun, and the screen goes to static, and they went to a conveniently timed commercial break.
Oh, man.
Thank goodness here in this real-life angle that the key moment to this real situation happened right when they went to commercial.
Well, you know, they lost power. Whenever you're live and you lose the signal, you always go to commercial, Vinny.
I guess so.
Yeah.
So after the break, they said the satellite feed had not been restored. Nobody knew what had happened. So we're going to carry on with the show.
We got wrestling to do.
Nothing else to
We
do.
got a main event for Survivor Series we got to talk about.
There may be a man with his brains blown out. Could be, could not. We don't know. So we're going to have Sid talk to Shawn. Vince did at least clarify that neither Sid, Shawn, nor Jim Ross knew anything about what was going on in Cincinnati. So at least they didn't make all three of these men look completely callous. Sid came out as big as he has ever been. I think his traps actually went higher than his head.
Wow.
He was huge. So, first question they had a podium set up in the ring for Sid and
It's a
Shawn.
verbal debate.
It was a verbal debate.
Craig, you have any comments on Shawn's jacket? You're our resident expert on what people wear.
This was 1996.
Yes.
Apparently that jacket was about 10 years old.
Yep.
He had a WWF champion jean jacket.
He had his own picture on the back of it.
I don't think I bought it, but I think back to my 20-year-old self, and I bet I thought about it.
Stranger things have happened.
And by the way, for those of you that have not watched any Lucha Libre of late, I've been watching some stuff, and there's a fella named Thunder. This guy is the most horrible wrestler of all time. I mean, he is horrible. Horrible, 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 horrible. And then I watched Sid here, and I had a newfound respect.
For Sid?
Sid is bad, but after seeing Thunder, Sid is great.
So Ross's first question was, Shawn, Sid here powerbombed you about 18 times on Raw a year ago. Have you forgiven him? Shawn says, yes, I forgave Sid for that. I am the one who got him out of the loony bin and brought him back to the WWF because he's my buddy.
Now that is a backhanded compliment.
I guess. On who? I think he'd slammed himself. I am so lonely here. I had to go break a man out of an asylum to have a friend.
Well, I think it's pointing out that he's crazy.
Well, that too.
But then it turns out it's true, even though Sid denied it with profanity.
Sid said Shawn's story was bullshit.
Yeah.
That is a quote. And Shawn was stupid to even suggest that he could just walk out of an insane asylum and start wrestling.
And then Shawn says, buddy, you know where you were and who got you out. Meaning the story is true. You were locked up.
I guess. Apparently, Shawn said, I'm the WWF champion. I'm here to free a man from this insane asylum.
I wish we'd had some vignettes, because remember when Brent had his incident?
I'm glad you brought that up. I was afraid to.
I'm just pointing out I don't think it was this easy. Was it?
I'm pretty sure it was. He wanted to leave all the time.
Shawn just shows up in long dangly earrings and a jean jacket with his face on the back and just bails out Sid.
Sid got out of the asylum because he was friends with Shawn. Brent was stuck in the asylum because he was friends with us.
You put it that way.
It's all making sense now.
I guess. So Sid's going off on everyone. JR asked him an annoying question, and Sid says, "Shut your mouth, fatso." And he said this, and Ross is appalled. But Shawn points at him like, "You are fat, and that is funny."
There's a theme on this show.
There's a theme of obesity. Shawn laughing at other people for being fat or weird or whatever is always great. Even like early days of Raw when he liked commentary.
Yes.
He would always laugh at anyone's insult. He was great at that. So they're going on for a while, and Shawn's talking about how the friendships go out the window when the championship's on the line. And Vince interrupts to say, "Oh, wait, we have the satellite feed back up." No, wait, we don't.
Yeah.
It was so total ADD television.
It was literally 1, 2, 3, he got him. Oh, wait, no, he didn't. Oh, and they're talking about satellite feed. So they start screaming about big men and little men in the big leagues. And they start shoving each other.
This was great. Let's not fluff over this here. Shawn says, "You're not in my league." And Sid says, "You're right. I'm not in Little League." Now, why Shawn didn't shoot back with, "You're in the softball league," I have no idea. But that was a perfect comeback that he whiffed on.
Eventually, they start shoving each other, and then Jim Cornette and his crew come literally screaming down the aisle, Cornette is, talking about how this should have been Vader's title shot, and it's all your fault, and we're going to take it back. So Vader starts brawling with Sid. Bulldog starts brawling with Shawn. Owen grabs a chair, and he whacks Sid with it from behind. Then Shawn cuts Owen off and grabs the chair. The heels all bail, but Sid turns, and he sees Shawn with a chair and assumes the worst.
Oh, yeah. Great facial expression when he saw him with that chair.
Oh, yeah, the mood changed.
This man's not crazy.
He went, well, the mood changed. You could see all the wheels turning slowly.
Very, very slowly.
Slowly in Sid's
They're
head.
square wheels.
They might be. But it went from "my back hurts" to "there's Shawn." Shawn is holding a chair. That chair is shaped exactly like the injury on my back. Tick, 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 tick. And eventually he put it together.
Got out a chalkboard and did
Yeah.
some long division.
Yeah.
It was a
So they brawled a few times. The heels returned. The brawl continued. And eventually we were right back where we started. This actually debuted last week. We didn't mention it, and we were chastised for that. The Full Metal album was their first CD of entrance themes.
Yeah.
And the commercial features Fred Blassie in a music studio playing the tunes as a wrestling fan mimics the wrestler entrances. And when I say wrestling fan, I mean a 5-year-old boy dancing shirtless to Shawn Michaels music. Things I do not need to see.
No. You know, when I was a youngster and there was Demolition's theme and I can't think of any others, but I'm sure there were cool ones. I always thought, man, it'd be so cool if I could get an 8-track with all of these great WWF
Are
theme
you
songs.
70?
You mean cassette tape?
I don't know what the hell they had back then. But the point is, I always thought these songs are so great, I wish I could have them. So finally they get it in 1996 when every theme sucked.
Brian, they had the wrestling album. It came out in 85.
I don't know if that was themes, though.
Yeah.
Wasn't that
it
a
was
bunch
themes.
of dudes singing?
No, that had... I
It
don't
had
know.
Hogan's theme.
Did they have Demolition's theme?
Demolition's theme was on Pile Driver,
Pile Driver.
along with Strike Force's theme, Slick's
Well, I was also
theme.
young. I didn't understand any of this stuff.
You were in a bubble even then?
Yeah. What, do you think I discovered the bubble?
I'm actually looking this up because, as I recall, there were cool songs on there.
You can hear the data.
Zapping.
I was being
right now.
electrocuted.
Okay, we have We're All Together Now. Not a good song.
Not good.
Thorn in Your Eye. Terrible song.
No.
Diesel Blues. Cool song.
Which one is this? 96?
95.
95. So that's Diesel's theme.
Yeah.
Okay. About Vader's theme.
The Lion King. I assume that would be for Owen Hart. Lion, Lyin. 1, 2, 3 Kid. Goldust, which was cool. Smoking Guns, which had guns. Psycho Sid. Cool wrestling theme. I don't know if I want to play in my car.
Oh, drive down the road with that thing blaring.
Where the hell the rest
Peruse the beach.
I am trying to read. The list of songs disappeared.
Cool. All right.
Bret Hart, Razor Ramon. Shawn
Fake
Michaels.
razor or real razor?
Same song.
Doesn't matter.
Shawn Michaels theme, and it had With My Baby Tonight.
Oh.
So that was a good song.
What about his WCW theme, Jarrett's?
Sorry. Sadly, no.
Well, I don't want it then.
I apologize. They recapped
That was
all
a pointless discussion.
This whole show's pointless.
But there's a point to it, but go on.
They recapped all that had happened in Cincinnati. And watching this back a second time, all I could think was, they've got like a 10,000 square foot house. When you go to the kitchen, it's pink and green floral wallpaper with seafoam green trim.
Yes.
It's hideous.
Yeah.
That was a style, Vinny.
I've seen
In the
many
90s?
houses like that.
Yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
We do remodels all the time, and you'd be surprised what people still have in their homes.
So Vince says they're still trying to reestablish the satellite hookup.
But hey, we'll show you the angle again.
Yeah.
He's so concerned, he airs the gun pulling again.
Yeah. He did say that he hoped nobody was hurt. Sometimes performers get carried away, and Austin may have started to believe in himself.
God
Meanwhile,
forbid.
in the ring, Mark Merrow versus fake Razor Ramon.
All right, here's where the music comes in. Mark Merrow comes out, and then they play Razor's music, and for a split second, I was like, Mark Merrow versus Razor Ramon. Awesome.
I actually did the same thing.
It was the same thing, wasn't it?
Which
and
is-
then this idiot came out.
Which is sad because I literally watched Nitro right before this. I had seen Scott Hall on another program 40 minutes prior. So, Brian, I have not seen Thunder. He can't be worse than fake Razor Ramon.
He's way worse.
No.
Yeah. Like, you wouldn't even believe it.
I got to check this Thunder out.
I will send you some
Well,
stuff.
I can't speak for the...
I thought you were talking about the television show and whether that was worse than his final segment. Because that is a toss-up.
which television show?
Thunder.
Oh. Yeah. No. Point is, fake Razor Ramon was god-awful. One of the very worst wrestlers to ever appear on Raw. He is a slightly shorter, very, very slightly more coordinated version of Giant Gonzalez.
Wow.
He's terrible, dude. He can fall down and get back up, which gives him a one-up on Gonzalez. But other than that, God.
I didn't see him as being quite this bad, but...
I actually did a search afterwards, not intentionally, but as I was going back over this, I used the word terrible 4 times in this match. About how bad he was.
Wow.
So Jim Ross returns to the announce desk so he and Vince can bicker with each other. Somewhere in here, Jim Ross says, this whole thing with Austin is, the problem is he's obsessed with Bret Hart. This is all about Survivor Series. Yeah, he used a shooting to plug a pay-per-view.
Vinny, you gotta plug those shows.
At this point, Kerwin called in.
Kerwin Selfies.
I'm going to pronounce his last name Selfies because it's funnier.
Kerwin Selfies. Mm-hmm. I think, I'm almost positive, unless he was fired within the last year, he's still working there today. He has been there for 30 years. Mm-hmm. This Kerwin. He's a WWE director.
So we had Kerwin Selfies here on Raw going head-to-head with, what's the dude on Nitro? Alan something?
Oh.
Stagger Lee.
Alan Sharp.
Alan Sharp.
Oh, my
Alan
God.
Sharp head-to-head with Kerwin Selfies.
Oh, God, that couldn't have been head-to-head.
I don't know. So Kerwin says, we don't know, we all lost power.
Kerwin was more believable, but literally, he had absolutely no information of any
He
kind.
said, they've all lost power. Austin's car is in the driveway. Nobody's gone in or left. Vince says, have you heard any noises? And Lawler says, yeah, like gunshots. Like he's happy. So their match goes through the break. And they came back with more phone call with Kerwin, who had no more news than he had before the break. They see the authorities were not there yet. Everyone was appalled. So it was not likely to get the feed back up, and then there was shouting or something, and the phone went dead. That's bad news, because it meant we had to focus on the match.
Oh, and you know what? It just kept going.
Oh, my God.
It kept going and going and going and going.
Jim Ross accuses Vince of goading Austin into doing something violent for ratings, and Vince says, don't get smart, don't get wise. And I believe this is how Vince actually talks. A very subdued Vince plugged Mr. Perfect on Livewire. Mr. Perfect and Hunter came out, and then this match went through a second break. Oh my God.
This match went 12 minutes and 34 seconds.
Jeez.
And it was so bad.
At no point was any of it good.
And that's not counting commercials.
No.
So it was probably
It was close to 20 minutes.
18 minutes
Yeah.
of television time.
So finally, Perfect takes the ref. Helmsley shoves Mero off the top, and Razor hits the Razor's Edge for the win. A horrible match. I went minus 2.5 stars.
It was pretty bad.
They recapped Pillman drawing a gun on Austin, and then Jerry Lawler said the following words in a complete sentence, which I'm not making up. See, this is stupid. Then magically, we're back in Pillman's house. They got the feed back up with like a minute to spare. All his friends are trying to hold him back. I think I saw Les Thatcher in there. Some guy had an amazing mullet. Might have been Champagne, I'm not sure. So Austin returns, and the gang goes from holding back Pillman to trying to hold back Austin. They are dragging Austin away as he is daring Pillman to shoot him. Pillman's pointing the gun at him. He gets in a get the hell out of the fucking way in there. Lawler screams at Kelly, hey, grab Pillman's gun.
That was his solution.
What a horrible idea.
Well,
Brian Pillman, Kevin Kelly's going to outmuscle you and take your weapon away.
Not to mention
Nothing bad could happen.
Not to mention the crazed look in Pillman's eye. That's the guy you want to reason with.
Yeah. So yes, the show went off the air with a tease that somebody still might live or die tonight.
Mm-hmm.
You will have to tune in 7 days to find out who survived.
When this was originally aired, I had a lot of buddies that I worked with, and we didn't talk about wrestling a ton. The next day, the Tuesday after, there was a lot of water cooler talk about.
and what did they say?
I don't remember. This is 20 years ago, dude.
Well, I mean, did they think
Did
it
they
was
enjoy it?
cool, or did they think, my God, did you see that horrible shit on Raw?
Did they think of the newspaper expecting to see Steve Austin
They
killed?
all thought it was very cool, and they could not wait till next week.
That's amazing.
Wow.
That's
And
amazing.
by the way, we hadn't talked about Raw in a while. You know what I mean?
There was nothing to talk about in a while.
Right.
This was how can I explain this? This was a bad show, but at least it was an exciting show.
Yes.
It was not a boring show.
No, as I said, I will take this bad. That was a very bad show. I will take this very, very bad show over the boring Nitro that we watched.
If you took out all the Pillman Austin stuff, this would have been the worst show ever.
This would have been
way-
high in the running.
Way, way up there.
I liked Nitro until
Raw opened with Raw number 184, November 11th, 1996.
or 19 years ago this week.
It opened with Davey Boy Smith and Owen Hart defending their tag titles as promised against Shawn Michaels and Psycho Sid.
All right, well, we've started, so Craig opened this present. I'll have a lot to say about this match, so let's get this out of the way.
So the
And he
announcers-
specifically said during Raw, so maybe he wants us to open it before we do the review.
Keep going, Vinny.
So the announcers were talking about Shawn and Sid making separate entrances for this match and how this proved they were not on the same page. All I know is I didn't get to see Sid making his entrance to Shawn Michaels' music.
I don't have my box knife.
No,
with
you
me.
didn't. All right, stand by, Vinny. Let Craig open
No,
this.
no, no. Keep going.
No, him talking and you trying to open the present is
I
just
think it's high comedy. Go ahead, Vinny.
too many things being done at once.
Let me hold
at
my
the same
mic closer
time.
to his keys.
Besides, Vinny even forgot the most important thing before the match even started.
I did?
Yeah, there was a Steve Austin inset promo, and Steve Austin said, I refuse to apologize for what happened last week, and I will beat Bret Hart's ass if I see him here tonight.
And Filthy's a good packer.
And that, everybody, was the entire follow-up to the legendary gun angle. And Craig is now laughing.
See, I actually saw that promo. It was so subtle about the gun thing, I didn't realize he acknowledged it at all.
Well,
I thought he just moved on.
we'll talk about that.
Oh, I'm excited.
What is it, Craig?
Dude. Bam!
No!
Well, somebody came through with this filthy Tom with these Glasgow people. Somebody sent us a complete set
Where did he find that?
Of Milton Bradley Karate Fighters.
Well, you see, the label says eBay.
Oh, is that what it is? Wow, look at that.
That is tremendous. You
That's an
realize
original.
We have to periscope our battles with this.
2 fighters inside. Anybody want to guess who the 2 fighters are?
It says so on the front.
Well, do you want to guess who the 2 fighters are, you numbskull?
Something fist.
Kick Star
Black Skull.
and Corporal Punishment.
Oh.
I was wrong.
Wasn't he an actual wrestler?
Yes.
I'm sure.
No, it's Kirshner.
No, there was
I'm
a Corporal
certain
Punishment.
there was a Corporal Punishment.
Yeah.
There's probably a Black Star, too. What does it say? Kickstar.
Let's just jump right forward to the Karate Fighters then.
There you go.
So next week, it's Bob Backlund
All
versus
right.
Sonny in the Karate Fighters Holiday Tournament on Raw.
That's correct.
Bob Backlund versus Sonny.
Right.
And you know what I realized? This Karate Fighters Holiday Tournament is already better than the WWE World Heavyweight Title Tournament that started on Raw.
Yes.
Did you watch it?
I have not watched it, but
Oh.
when I heard Seth was injured, I thought, first thought, poor guy. Second thought, they're doing a tournament. I am now far more excited for Survivor Series than I was before Seth got hurt. Then I saw the brackets. In 2 seconds, I realized what was going to happen. I'm done now.
Oh, what's going to happen?
It'll be Roman, Seth, Del Rio, and Owens.
Seth?
Roman, Dean, Del Rio, and Owens in the semis. Probably be Roman and Dean in the finals. And then there's a couple things they could do. But I was intrigued to get all sorts of new matchups. Maybe they would do Roman and Dean in the quarterfinals, so we wouldn't know for sure which of these friends would win. Nope. It's all very obvious what's going to happen. It's the most predictable tournament of all time.
Well, I'll make it even worse for you.
Good.
Okay, now, I know some people will consider this a spoiler, but it hasn't happened yet, and so it's not a spoiler, because plans can change. But I don't think you're going to see Roman versus Dean at all in this tournament. The one new match,
Yeah.
I don't even think they're going to give you.
I believe you.
Yep.
It was the final 4 that was most obvious to me.
Well, you're probably right.
Yeah.
Although, without giving away the result of the match, there was an upset on SmackDown. I'll just put it that way.
Wow.
I didn't think there was going to be one upset in the whole entire tournament, and apparently there is one. But anyway, yes, after the epic gun angle last week, apparently USA Network publicly got really, really mad, and so WWE just ended it.
Yes.
That was a follow-up.
Yeah, well.
And I believe Craig may have been right as he violently texts or something here on the air. The glass breaking debuted this week.
I thought so too.
This was the first time that he ever used his new Stone Cold Steve Austin music, to the best of my knowledge.
Sweet.
Anything else you'd like to do over there, or are we ready to go on this show?
Yeah, leave him alone. He's fine.
I'm having a good time over here.
All right.
So my favorite part of this match was Sid tagging in and needing 6 steps to run across the ring.
He sucks.
Sid.
You know, this week I realized, you ever have a girlfriend in high school and
No.
you look, oh, sorry, Vinny.
That was a horrible start.
Wow. You ever have a girlfriend in high school and now that you're older, you think about her and, God, that chick was hot and, God, we had such good times.
Do you forget my girlfriend in high school?
I didn't know
No,
you in high
I
school.
don't think that ever.
Okay, well, normal people. That chick was so hot and her body was crazy and all the fun we had.
Definitely not me.
And then somebody brings up pictures and you think to yourself, my God, what was the matter with me? That's the way I feel about Sid.
There was a point in your
You
life
wanted to
when you
date Sid?
thought Sid was good?
Yeah.
Or you mated with Sid? What did you say?
No. Hush you.
Sid was his girlfriend, apparently.
Huh.
I watch Sid now and I'm like, why did I ever like that man?
Why did you?
I have no idea.
At what point in your life was he good? I don't remember this.
Must have saw something in him.
Well, look, he sucked, Craig.
Yeah, I know.
But Sid cut a promo on this show
Okay.
that was better than 95% of the promos I have seen on Raw all year long, and it may have been the best promo of his whole career. I will give him that. Now, in the ring,
No, he's horrible.
always sucked.
Yeah.
He sucked from the beginning of his career. He sucked until the end of his career. And my God, did he suck during this match.
He was quite terrible.
And part of the problem was he kept trading places with Shawn.
Yes. One of these things, this is a bad trade.
Yeah.
So, of course, Davey Boy Norton got the heat on Shawn and worked him over for a long time.
Forever.
I cannot believe how bored I was watching Owen Hart, Davey Boy Smith, and Shawn Michaels wrestle.
What?
This sounds impossible.
I very much enjoyed this match.
I was going to say, were you watching the match, or were you just...
For about 3 hours, I watched the match.
There's nothing.
Oh, come on.
There's nothing better than watch babyface Shawn Michaels in peril.
It was awesome. And he worked his ass off as he was just selling. He worked harder than anyone else in the ring just getting beaten on.
I'm sure that's true. They did...
He just denied that, but that's okay.
They did just say Shawn would be appearing on America Online in cyberspace.
Mm-hmm.
Finally, Shawn dodged a kick, gave Sid the hot hand. It broke down to a 4-way. Shawn went to super kick Davey Boy, but Bulldog dodged. Sid ate the kick, and Davey Boy covered him for the pin. And my notes, if you were reading what I saw, if you were reading what I'm reading right now, you would realize how completely confused I am. Everyone's name's all screwed up. But trust me, Shawn kicked Sid, Davey Boy pinned Sid. And then Shawn kept fighting.
What was happening during this match?
I don't know.
This was a great opener.
Mm-hmm.
Shawn was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
The finish was great. Mm-hmm. Shawn sold forever. Sid got like one move before they immediately went to the finish because Sid sucks.
Yeah.
And then they pinned Sid. And afterwards they laid out Shawn.
Yes.
And then Sid got really mad in the locker room later and cut the best promo of his career.
Owen cut Shawn off with the Enziguri of death, and they left both babyfaces lying prone in the ring.
You know, later on when we reviewed Nitro, there was another bad wrestler that cut a heck of a promo.
On what show?
Nitro.
I don't know what he's talking about either.
I can't remember who this would be.
Kevin Kelly was backstage where geeks were pretending to keep Shawn and Sid separate. And when I say pretending, Shawn wasn't there, Sid wasn't there, but you had geeks running up and down the hallway waving their hands back and forth as if to say, no, no, no. I laughed. Doc Hendricks did the final plug for Survivor Series, including 2 new matches. Vader, Farooq, Razor Ramon, and Diesel versus Savio Vega, Yokozuna, Flash Funk in his debut, and a mystery partner.
Flash Funk.
Anyone remember who the mystery partner was?
No idea.
I don't know.
I don't remember.
I don't either.
What a great...
I'm asking if anyone would have called.
Why don't you just go on Wikipedia and find out who it was?
I thought maybe maybe it was something really famous.
I see.
Flash Funk, by the way, awesome music. So this is also a good
yeah.
thing.
And
I just love that you brought it up like you were about to give us a trivia update,
All right, well,
and then you didn't have an answer.
I will look it up shortly here when I get a chance to stop talking. Also, Godwin's, Furnace, and LaFawn versus Owen, Bulldog, and the New Rockers.
These are some terrible matches.
Kelly promised an interview with Sid later. As Brian noted, it was quite good. Mankind versus Freddie Joe Floyd. You know, every time a guy enters NXT who's not the leanest man in the world, people always say, well, Mick Foley, you know, he was a big star and he wasn't an underwear model. And no, he was not an underwear model. But you know what? Foley was lean here.
yes.
Foley, at the peak of his career, was not, in fact, a fat man.
I actually made note of that as well. He's rather thin.
He
Right.
was at his leanest here. That is true.
Yeah.
I think your Wi-Fi just went down again.
Oh, awesome.
Is that
So
the problem? Seriously?
they went back and forth for a while, and Foley hit the wedgie pile driver and the mandible claw for the win. He was posing with the urn afterwards when Tager's music played, the lights flashed, the cage with the upside down dummy of Paul Bearer lowered from the ceiling. By the way, we forgot to mention something. Mankind was out there, Paul Bearer was out there, and the Executioner was out there.
Mm-hmm.
And from the moment he came out there in his Halloween costume with his toy axe, you've never seen a man look so confused in this entire segment.
I literally laughed out loud when I saw the Executioner. This was the worst, the absolute worst costume I may have ever seen. And that includes Mantar. And all I could think was, is it just me, or does every time something goes wrong with this company, they come up with the stupidest ideas to try to turn it around?
Mm-hmm.
1996 was the worst year financially ever for this company, except for years where they made tons of money but spent more on like restaurants.
Yeah.
But as far as like wrestling operations, they lost more money in 96 than any year ever. And their bright idea was, let's take Terry Gordy and put him in a Halloween costume with a huge axe. That'll turn things around.
Freddie Joe Floyd was in this match. There was nothing wrong with Tracy Smothers.
Well, I know because he's Tracy Smothers, everybody wants to talk about how he was better than he was, but he was very gangly and wacky and not very good in this match. This was not the best Tracy Smothers I've ever seen.
Yeah, but they did that time and time again where they'd take a big star of old and give them one of their gimmicks.
And they all sucked.
Absolutely.
That's my point.
Except Flash Funk. He was pretty cool.
And then The Undertaker's dong hit 24 hours after I saw the exact same thing on Raw in 2015.
It's true.
19 years ago, on the same show, they did the same angle. With the same music.
They announced 2 members of the Hall of Fame class.
Stand by, Vinny. All right, I've been hoping that prayer will solve my router problems, but I'm guessing it won't. And that's going to mean that I'm going to have Frontier come out here and replace the router. Which is going to be an absolute nightmare.
Well, while that was going on, I got on the iPhone and just looked up who the mystery partner was in that Survivor Series match.
Oh, good.
What a payoff this is going to be. As big a payoff as the people who bought Survivor Series in 1996 for this mystery partner.
Was it the Executioner?
No.
Oh.
Jimmy Snuka.
Wow. How about that?
They were desperate, everyone. They were completely desperate. So, they announced 2 new members of the Hall of Fame, the Killer Kowalski and the Valiant Brothers, which I guess would be 3 new members. And then we got a Rocky Maivia hype video.
If you would have taken The Rock and you would have replaced him with Roman Reigns into the exact same video package, you could have aired it on Raw in 2015.
Yeah.
It was amazing. He's got the family. He's the white meat babyface, giving it his all, never going to quit.
He's proud of his heritage, but he wants to make it on his own.
Yes.
Yes.
Classic.
And that smile.
He had a great smile. He had horrible hair,
It's true.
which Roman does not have. But you watch this and make no mistake, this was not the most electrifying man in sports entertainment.
No.
But just, and to be fair, you know, this is not a live crowd. This was him and Kevin Kelly walking around the lake having a chat. But still, he was more comfortable in the mic here in his debut video than a lot of guys get at any point in their careers. You know, he's The Rock. Kelly interviewed Sid in the hallway backstage. Sid was screaming for a while about how nobody would kill him with a rock. He said he was the master and the ruler of the world. Brian, go on.
You didn't like it?
That's what I got out of it. He was screaming a lot.
I thought it was awesome. Am I the only one? No one else thought this was great?
It was fine.
I thought it was like mini Sid promos.
He was passionate.
Sid was never bland.
No.
And he did not... He usually... He was screaming and super intense. He did one time forget they were on live TV. But usually he was either just super screaming intense and scary, or super screaming intense and so intense he said something completely nonsensical. Like when he said, I have half the mind you do, or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was a perfectly logical scenario. He was very angry that Shawn had super kicked him in the face. I have no idea. I had written a whole bunch of notes on it, and they're all gone, which is part of the problem right here.
I see. Yeah, he was talking about
Is
how...
there another one somewhere that I missed?
No, this is the Sid promo.
It's the only one?
Yeah.
Well, I can't remember what he said, but essentially it was he's really mad that Shawn kicked him.
He listed week by week all that had happened.
That's right. Yeah. And he said that at the pay-per-view, I'm going to beat your ass.
Yes.
And he was focused. He was serious. He was angry. He had a point. He didn't botch a single line.
Nope.
This was the greatest promo of Sid's whole career. Bar none.
Then Steve Austin cut a promo on his opponent tonight, Bob Holly. Said it would not take long to finish him off. That was a lie. He hoped Bret Hart was watching and said their match would be the most important of Bret's life. Turns out that wasn't true. He vowed to, after his match, he was going to find Hart's dressing room and said we didn't have to wait until Survivor Series. In the Karate Fighters tournament, we had Michael Hayes squaring off against Brock Lesnar's wife. Sable won. Doc immediately demanded a rematch. He was begging for a rematch, in fact, and Lawler said begging women for things is what Doc did best. I laughed.
I did.
Can someone help me here? I realize I'm distracted in the middle of the show, but I am so furious and I know that we got a lot of listeners, and somebody here can help me. I have Mazda. Just bear with me, everybody. This message just came through as we were dealing with the internet. I have a Mazda, and my wife just got a new car, which is also a Mazda. Are we all following me now? We got this?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so I went to pay both of these bills, okay? Through my bank, auto pay. So I start getting these calls from Mazda. And so I call them, and they alert me that your wife's car has not had one payment the entire time you've owned it. It's been 2 months. Not one payment. And I said, well, my bank, it's on auto pay, and I've got the thing here, but the payments have all been made. Okay? So it turns out these numbskulls have taken the payment for my car and her car,
Combine them
lumped them
yours.
together, and put them all on my car, and put none on her car.
Excellent.
So I called them and I said, okay, well, can we figure this out? Blah, 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 blah. They said, okay, make sure you got this account number, et cetera, et cetera. We'll get it all handled. Don't worry about it. So I figured it out. I made sure that they were both going to the proper account number. All of the deals were sent. I get another call from Mazda today. They tell me, we still have not received one payment for your wife's car. So I go onto the bank's website here, and sure enough, payment had been made, proper account number, in October, everything's cool. So I sent an email to my bank, and I say, it says here that you sent the payment, but they're claiming they didn't get it. So can we figure out the solution here? Can I read this email that I got from the bank?
Why not?
Right, yeah.
Thank you for your recent inquiry regarding your payment to Mazda American Credit made through online banking, bill pay, blah, blah, blah. Our records indicate that your payment was returned due to your payee will not speak to a third party due to this funds was credited back to your account. Blank stares?
Sorry, dude.
What in the fuck does that mean?
That means you go write a check and take it down to Mazda and make your payment.
Yeah.
Was that in English?
Kinda.
There was some missing punctuation there. But yeah.
I'm so unhappy I restarted the internet.
This is your reward.
Let me read this one more time, and if anybody listening can interpret, please email me immediately.
But Craig, don't text anything.
Our
No.
records indicate that your payment was returned due to your payee will not speak to a third party due to this funds was credited back to your account.
Yeah, there's a lot of punctuation missing.
What?
Mazda will not take their money without your permission. I realize how stupid that sounds, but it's true.
I've been paying them for years.
I'm just telling you what the email says. I'm translating it for you. Therefore, since Mazda wouldn't take the money, the bank took the money and put it back into your account.
Right.
I am with Craig. Drive down to Mazda.
Yeah.
Write them a check, or better yet, a big pile of cash.
There you go. In ones. Tell me you work a weekend swing at Big Peckers.
Can you?
Excuse me?
What? The what now?
What did he just say?
I don't want to repeat it. How can you be the only one here who goes to church?
Did he say big peckers?
I'm almost positive he did.
Where the hell were we?
Sid.
That was a great promo.
As you got past that,
Can I have him call Mazda?
sure.
That's what I need right now.
So Kevin Kelly interviewed Shawn, who was wearing a towel.
They have a rooster for a mascot.
I'm just trying so hard to move on, Craig. You...
Go ahead.
So Shawn, actually, I thought Shawn cut a great promo.
Ada cut a very good promo. It was not as good as Sid's.
He said Sid liked to call himself the master of the world, and Bret called himself a role model. But the fact was, he had kicked both their teeth out at one point or another. He said tonight's kick had been a mistake, but even on accident, he had knocked Sid out cold. So imagine what he was going to do when he was throwing a kick at Sid's giant chin on purpose. He vowed to beat some respect out of Sid on Sunday. This was tremendous, and the thing was, Shawn, of course, was the sexy boy for many, many years, but when necessary, go into badass mode, and you realize he was a threat to be taken seriously. That was important.
Well, he was the champion.
That also helped. Steve Austin versus Bob Holly. As we noted, the debut of the broken glass music. So he gets in there, and it is so weird to see Steve Austin wrestle without 2 giant knee braces on. He looked naked. Bret was was backstage watching this on a monitor, and they did not make him stand facing the camera and look backwards over at the screen. No, he was sitting at a desk watching the monitor, and they showed him over the shoulder watching the monitor, and they moved the camera over to see his face. We all see it was really Bret, and that was that. Was that so complicated?
Yeah, and then they showed a side view of him, so he was actually watching the TV like a human being.
Yeah.
Cool. I feel better after I just wrote an angry message to my bank.
So this match went through a break. Steve Austin versus Bob Holly needed time. The good news is, during the break, we got another one of those warehouse promos with Austin, where he buried Bret's pink tights, his sunglasses, and his sparklers, and he vowed to end his legacy at MSG. Promo was a million times better than the match.
Let's talk about the important part of this match. Steve Austin is wrestling with his broken glass and his famous music, or at least a version of it. And Bret Hart is backstage. And so they decide that we've got to show Bret Hart watching this match intently. And so they do a split screen. Remember how phone calls were important in 1996? Mm-hmm. Apparently, split screen is a big fucking deal.
Yeah.
Because I've had to watch it on both shows. And on both shows, it's been a massive negative that they have this technology. Mm-hmm. On one side of the screen, as small as can be, is Steve Austin having a match with Bob Holly. And on the other side of the screen, there's Bret Hart's face.
Yep.
Not even watching. I don't know what he's watching.
He's watching the match.
Dude, he could have been watching Sonny in the shower. We never saw what he was watching because we only saw his face, and he would look, and you just look at his face for a long time. And then he'd bring up a cup of coffee. He'd put it down. Mm-hmm. And then he'd just keep looking and looking and looking. And then the cup would come back into the frame again. And he'd have a sip of coffee. Mm-hmm. This was on screen for 5 minutes.
Not only
Why?
that, the split screen actually missed the finish.
I don't even remember the finish. It was a stunner.
It was a stunner.
Yeah, it was a stunner.
I saw the finish.
But it was... When you go to the finish of the match, do you want to watch that on a split screen, or do you want to see it full screen?
No. I didn't want to see any of Bret Hart's face for more than 1 second.
Fair enough.
I was thinking, maybe Farooq will come in and grab him from behind, or I don't know. Some bad thing's got to happen, because I'm just looking at his face for 5 minutes for no reason. And at the end of the day, you want to know what? There was no reason. There was no payoff to looking at Bret Hart's face for 5 minutes on a split screen.
So Austin did, in fact, win with a stunner.
Clearly, I'm the only one that noticed this.
His face was on TV for a long time. They did show a monitor that showed he was watching the match. So Austin then says, I'm going to Bret Hart's locker room. And he's storming backstage, and he goes up to what we are led to believe is the door to Bret Hart's locker room, and he starts shaking the handle and banging on the door. And he turns back to the camera and says, you'd like to see me whip Bret's ass for free? I know you would, but you got to pay top dollar to see that fight. A novel concept. Mm-hmm. He ran down Bret for a while, then stormed off. And Austin cutting promos at this point was way, way better than Austin wrestling. At least wrestling Bob Holly.
It wasn't that bad.
I didn't think it was that bad at all. In fact,
I mean, I couldn't see it.
I liked Bob Holly looked really good just before he's bitter and angry and not going up for power bombs.
Vinny,
I didn't need to see Steve Austin wrestling Bob Holly for 10 minutes to set up his match for Bret
You
Hart.
were doing something on the computer, weren't you? I know you
watching
were.
the show.
You weren't doing anything else during this match? I find that impossible to believe, because the Bret Hart thing seems like the kind of thing that would have sent you over the cliff if you would have actually paid attention to Bret Hart's face and his coffee for 5 minutes in the middle of this main event. Especially looking on your computer screen, I can imagine how small the split screen was.
The actual screen that had the image of Steve's match was probably a 2-inch window, yeah.
Yes!
Now, my last comment on this is, that Survivor Series match between Hart and Austin ruled. Mm-hmm.
It was better than their Mania match, I thought.
That's what I wrote down. It's been many, many years since I watched them, but the Mania match is more famous, but I remember thinking the Survivor Series match was better.
It was. I would say that is a fact.
All right. So we'll have to check that out. That was Raw.
It's amazing what bothers you sometimes, Vinny, and what doesn't.
That's fair.
How could you not have been bothered by Bret's face for 5 minutes on the screen? I couldn't believe it.
I don't know what to tell you, dude.
Maybe it's because I think the idea of us filming our radio show is ridiculous. Because how could anyone want to watch us talking?
I don't know.
They can just hear us talking.
But they do.
At least we were talking.
I know. The point, Craig, is I can't understand why. Which is
don't know.
probably why I can't understand why anybody would want to look at Bret Hart's face for 5 minutes when I could be watching Steve Austin wrestle Bob Holly. Not to mention the coffee sipping. I think that's what set me over the edge.
Yeah, because you don't like coffee.
It's like table for
Why was
three.
he making that up?
No, I'm not. You don't remember this?
No. I remember he had the coffee.
There was no slurping.
They talked about it on commentary.
Yeah.
Jim Ross sort of pointed out it was
Decaf.
Decaf coffee. That's what Bret drinks, apparently. Which, I don't. What's the point of that?
I know. What's the point of decaf?
I don't understand.
Why would you drink decaf coffee?
I don't have any idea.
Coffee tastes terrible.
Well, that's not true, but caffeinated coffee is better. And it has caffeine.
Right.
Win-win. What I got out of that most is the commentary. Because JR was doing his Spur and Vince's side gimmick. Mm-hmm. And so Vince would say, "What a maneuver!" And Ross would say, "That's a Lou Thez press." And then Vince would say, "Oh, look at that maneuver." Vince, that's a Frankensteiner. Or Hurricane Ron, I guess Steiner's in this show, but...
Let's play a song here, and then we'll do Nitro. All right, everybody. We are here on the Brian and Vinny Show. It is Brian here. Vinny is joining me as well. It is Tuesday night. No Craig, and no contest, and no power. No nothing. This is actually the second time we've attempted to record this right here. It's been quite a day here in Seattle. There was a massive windstorm. There are 200 and something thousand people without power, including myself. Vinny is got power. He's reclining in his home with lights and heat. Craig is now reclining at his house with lights and heat. It is midnight here, no power, and no update as to when it will be back. Vinny is out there in North Bend, in the mountains. I have no idea how you were not affected by the storm, Vinny, but you lucked out.
I can only assume that because it is so windy here all the time, all the trees that might have fallen on the power lines have already been blown over.
They've already been knocked down.
Yeah, because as we noted the first time I tried to record this, I lost power for about 4 seconds sometime around noon, and the lights have flickered once or twice since then, but we never really lost power. However, there was a time, and I forgot about this until just now, there was a time this evening when I was sitting here working, and I heard a mighty gust of wind, and my house began to shake.
Oh, yeah?
Like an earthquake shake.
How about that?
And it scared the bejesus out of me.
But at the end of the day, nothing.
But at the end of the day, power never really went out.
Wow. Well, lucky you, Vinny. There is, as noted, no Craig contest today. Craig contest will not be taking place. Largely because I can't play any drops. I can't play any songs. I can't play any entrance music. And we don't have
That's all a
Craig.
good reason, by the way. Yeah,
We don't have Craig. That is another major aspect of the story right here. So, as a result, we're going to be reviewing Raw. We're going to be reviewing Nitro because I don't want to get behind on all of this. And then, I don't know. I guess we'll see where we go from there. Next week, I guess we start over and try it again.
I guess so.
4 weeks we attempted to promote this show. And at the end of the day, well, we did a better job promoting the Craig contest and Survivor Series. And at the end of the day, they're going to run their show and we couldn't.
I guess that's a very bleak but accurate way of looking at it.
That's right. I got shit falling all over the fucking place right here. I apologize, everybody. I'm going to do my best here, but we've got all sorts of things going on. All right. Let's not waste any time, Vinny. Let's start with the Retro Raw here, and then we will get into Retro Nitro. I will try to figure out why I'm having this weird-ass feedback sound right here, but we'll do the best we can. Vinny, get going.
Monday Night Raw number 184, November 18th, 1996.
I'm just throwing shit all
There
over
was no
here.
pyro. There was no opening video, just the sound of breaking glass and Steve Austin walking down to the ring. It was scheduled to be Austin versus Vader, but they showed Vader suffering a shoulder injury at Survivor Series after Yokozuna gave him a Uranagi. So Mankind came out instead. And God bless Vader, but I'm pretty positive that in late 1996, this was a significant upgrade.
Oh, yeah. A tough man contest.
Yeah, I texted you before you watched this. Did you keep track?
I did not keep track as to how many times they mentioned the term tough man contest, except I know it was an unbelievable number of times.
Clearly, Vince McMahon either feared the tough man competitions going on at the time or was trying to piggyback on their success or something. Because they called Steve Austin versus Mankind a tough man contest seriously, like legitimately no less than 20 times, probably a lot more than that.
Yes.
It was very grating and very annoying and very aggravating. Now, the good news is the match ruled. They did that deal where they brawl for like 4 minutes, but it's not actually the match, so no one gets disqualified. And they get in the ring, and the bell rings, and they start fighting, and they just brawl on the floor again anyway. Then eventually they move back to the ring, but it was all super intense. It was very good. It was a hell of a TV match. And then at a random point, the Executioner hit the ring for the lame DQ.
Oh, yeah.
And that part sucked.
Yeah, Vader was killed the night before by a Yokozuna Uranage, and so they said he was going to be out for a little while. And they do this match, which, as you noted, was a huge improvement over the scheduled match with Vader. They had this wild brawl in the aisle. Fans are chanting for Austin. They had all the geeks run down to try and break it up. And they do this match, and it was amazing. Now, granted, it was one Raw. We've seen 2 good Raws in a row. Who knows where it's going to go from here? We were told that Raw was going to start getting better, but it is amazing when you have one guy, literally one guy, who gets a little bit of steam on him, like Steve Austin did here, and they go with it, and the next thing you know, the show is awesome. And it is amazing the turnaround that this show has seen in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
The 2 weeks since they started doing the Steve Austin versus Bret Hart thing, this show has turned around and is 1,000 times better than it was just a couple of weeks ago. And
Oh, yeah.
the key, there's another key to this, besides the fact that if you have a guy and he's hot and you go with it, that's probably a good idea. The other key to this whole thing is this show is only an hour long. I don't know if you noticed, Vinny. It's only a 1 hour show. And yes, you do a 1 hour show and you give 20 minutes of the show to Stone Cold Steve Austin, and the show is half over. Because if you take out commercials, the show is about 45 minutes long or so. And so with a 1 hour show, when a guy gets hot and you give him 20 minutes on the show, that's half the show. When the show is 3 hours long, and a guy, let's just say that Dean Ambrose gets hot. Raw is 3 hours long. You give Dean Ambrose 20 minutes on the show, and you know what? You got another 100 minutes that you've got to fill up. And this Raw was really good, but if you would have given this Raw an extra 100 minutes with the geeks that they've got on the roster in 1996, this show would have sucked. So
There'd have been a lot of Godwins.
A lot of Godwins, a lot of Freddie Joe Floyds.
Yeah. So Executioner and Mankind began to beat up Austin until Undertaker ran out to make the save in his Seth Rollins tribute shiny black leather ensemble. And he cleared the ring. He turned around. Austin clotheslined him out of the ring to the floor. But Taker landed on his feet. He was very annoyed with Austin, and he entered the ring, and Austin backed down and walked away.
That's right. Because Austin is beloved, but he is still a heel, and thus he's a coward. I shouldn't say he's a coward. He's not man enough to stand up to The Undertaker.
Certainly not a fair fight.
No.
He would jump him from behind, as we saw here. But when Taker's facing him ready to go, it's time to choose another battle. So yes, that was a hell of a match until the stupid finish.
That's right. Very, very good match. They had the announcement during the match that Sid was the new WWF champion. And
yeah, very casually, partway through.
Yes, and they said that Shawn may or may not be here tonight. He had accompanied Jose Lothario back to Texas because Jose Lothario had chest pains as a result of Sid hitting him with a camera to set up the finish at Survivor Series, which we will get into here after a while.
Yes. They plug the pay-per-view replay, especially the Austin Hart match and Sid's title win. Had a replay of Austin and Taker having a little confrontation there, and the replay was from a different angle, and you can see Executioner randomly walking around ringside and almost getting in the way. He seriously looked lost in every single segment he's been on TV so far.
Oh, yeah.
They cut to a wide shot of the arena. Hundreds and hundreds, maybe literally thousands of people are on the screen. And Vince McMahon says, look, it's Ahmed Johnson.
That's right.
It's like the hardest edition of Where's Waldo ever.
Well, have you seen Ahmed Johnson?
Well, granted, he's 4 or 5 Waldos in size. That's true.
Yes, he was the size of at least 4 or 5 of the fans. And you've seen some of the fans from that period.
Yes, that is true. So Ahmed comes down the stairs, blatantly ripping off the NWO, and he takes a seat in the crowd. Sonny comes out to do ring introductions for the next match. It is Farooq versus Savio Vega. This was Farouk's Raw debut in the Nation of Domination gimmick.
Yes.
A vast improvement.
Oh, my God.
So much better.
I can't even explain how awesome this was. The Nation of Domination, I mean, obviously there's a lot we can say about the Nation of Domination as time goes on, but when Farooq came out and they had his new Nation of Domination music, and then PG-13 came out, and they rapped the Nation of Domination music. It was so fucking great.
Yes.
And you had Farooq, and you had PG-13, and you had Clarence Mason. This act was awesome. And it's funny because it was the Nation of Domination in 1996, and it was cooler than virtually anything you will see on Raw today.
Of course. Of course. And I am simultaneously proud and ashamed to admit that I remembered every single word to the PG-13 rap.
Okay, I didn't remember that. I didn't even remember that they rapped the song.
I did because I just did. But so we zoomed in on Ahmed sitting in the crowd. I am pretty sure Rikishi was sitting next to him. Farooq and Savio Vega had a very long, very boring match with 2 notable exceptions.
Well, that was, the downside of this whole Nation of Domination thing. The match still sucked.
I seem to recall Ron Simmons as a babyface in WCW was a pretty good wrestler. But as a heel on Raw, he is dull.
He is very dull.
But, there was a point where they're just doing a very, very boring match, and then Simmons is behind him, or Farooq is behind him, I guess I should say. Farouk's behind him, and then he just grabs him around the waist, and with no knowledge or assistance from Savio, just suplexes him backward right onto the back of Savio's head.
Yes. And you know what? That was not even the scariest thing in this entire match.
Not even close.
No.
Not even close.
This match goes on absolutely forever. There are all of these goofy spots, as Vinny noted, the suplex on the head. Savio hit a beauty shot, but Farooq kicked out. Finally, they go up onto the top rope, and they're going to do a superplex.
Stop right there. Farouk's beating him up, and Farooq starts to climb to the top rope, and I thought, what the hell are you doing? What's going to happen here? And then Savio cuts him off, and Savio sets him up for a top rope suplex. And I thought, what are you doing? What's happening? Nothing good can happen here.
They decide they're going to do a top rope superplex. And
I guess
he grabs him. Savio grabs Farooq. And they start to stand up to do this superplex. And the funniest thing is, I don't even know really what went wrong, because it happened. And so I rewound it because I thought, okay, they're standing there, and obviously Farooq slipped, his foot slipped off the top rope and he falls to the ground. No, they're up there, and all of a sudden, all he does is, I guess he's not in the right position, so he sits down again, and that was enough to pull Savio Vega forward, which caused Savio Vega to get out of control. Savio Vega falls into Farooq, and both fucking men take a head-first tumble off the top rope all the way down to the floor. I screamed.
I screamed.
You screamed. We both screamed in the middle of Safeway.
Vince McMahon screamed. Sonny screamed. She was in commentary. And after a brief pause, Vince says, "Only in the WWF will you see action like this."
That's what he said. And they both,
and I'm happy about that.
they both fall off the top rope. They land on the ground. One would think, my God, they're dead. But because it wasn't supposed to happen, and because I guess they were embarrassed by what happened, their reaction is to not sell it. And they leap to their feet and they brawl their way back into the ring.
And then Savio
was crazy.
And Savio went right into his comeback.
Oh, yeah.
So he does his comeback, and he ends up outside the ring, and one PG-13 guy distracts him. The other PG-13 guy gently, carefully taps him in the back with a 2x4, and they throw him inside, and he is pinned.
That's right.
This fell apart. So, and it started off bad, by the way. So Ahmed Johnson hits ringside. He gives one of the PG-13 guys basically a hip toss on the floor.
That's right.
Hits the ring, all the heels scatter, and Ahmed cuts a promo on Farooq, vowing revenge, and he gets the crowd to chant, "You're going down."
I can't figure out why this guy can't speak. Like, why? I can't understand a thing he says ever. And what's funny was, I couldn't understand a word he said, and I don't know if the audience could either, but he did manage to get them to chant, "You're going down," and they all chanted, "You're going down," and they were going crazy. So, I will give them this. Farouk's match was, what was that?
It was me coughing and trying to pull the phone away, and clearly I didn't hold it.
Oh, I thought there was a dog loose in your house or something like that.
Not yet.
Anyway, so he cuts his promo, and the point of this is, Farouk's match was not very exciting, but it was a great new entrance, and Ahmed Johnson cannot cut a promo to save his life, but they have done a very, very good job building up this future Farooq versus Ahmed Johnson match. They're not doing as good a job as we are building up the Craig contest, but it was pretty good nonetheless.
But Farooq entered Ahmed. Ahmed disappeared for a while, and since he's been gone, all Farooq has done is win.
That's right, and they had that weird segment on Livewire or whatever it's called, where they yelled at each other back and forth. That was good.
That was awesome, yes. And now Farooq not only does Ahmed have to beat Farooq, but he also has to beat Farouk's little buddies too.
That's right.
Yes. Sonny defeated Mr. Backlund in the Karate Fighters tournament.
That's right. This reminds me, by the way, that we now have to delay the Karate Fighters tournament one more week.
That's something else we have to hold off on.
That's right. It's been delayed as well because of the power outage here.
I've suggested before these contests may not be that they may be legit. And now I'm convinced because this went way too long. They would not have worked a Karate Fighters match to go this long.
I don't know how you could work a Karate Fighters match. We'll probably find out in a couple of weeks, I guess.
I really don't either. But you could tell by the end they were both, the fighting gets old quickly. And they're both trying so hard to actually get either figure off. So, anyway, yeah, Sonny won.
Sonny won, and then I wrote that she acted like an 8-year-old, but then I remember that I teach 8-year-olds, and I've never seen an 8-year-old put their thumbs in their ears and wiggle their fingers and say whatever she said, nah, 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 whatever, I beat you. I was embarrassed.
That, yeah. They showed Sid with his title belt doing bicep curls backstage. And then Vince recapped Sid going psycho at the pay-per-view. He took a camera, he whacked Jose Lothario with it, and this apparently induced a heart attack.
Vince McMahon said, and I quote, "full cardiac arrest."
Yeah.
That's what he said.
So the ref gets bumped. Shawn hits a super kick, but he chooses to tend to Jose.
Good man.
Sid hits... Say what?
I said he was a good man.
He was a good man, as we'll get to. And Sid hits Shawn with the camera and then wins the match and the championship. So they said afterwards, Jose, under full cardiac arrest, had refused medical attention.
Yeah, apparently you can do that.
And returned home to Texas.
When you're dying of a heart attack, you can say, no mas, I'm going home.
I'm good. I'll take some aspirin. It'll be fine. Now, if this was real, if this had gone down, and Shawn Michaels had made a decision to stop fighting for his championship to his friend, and then his friend turned out to be okay, shouldn't Shawn be pissed at Jose?
Well, you don't know the guy's okay.
So Vince then does a speech.
Well, before you get into that, if you have not watched this Raw yet, if you wait to hear our review and then you go watch it, what I want you to do when they're recapping the Survivor Series main event finish, I want you to just close your eyes and I want you to imagine that Vince is not at the commentary booth explaining what happened after the fact. But I want you to close your eyes and imagine a booking room where Vince is explaining his idea to the participants. And if you close your eyes, you can actually completely imagine Vince pitching this to everybody, this crazed idea he has for a wacky finish at Survivor Series. It's very entertaining.
Sure. So then Vince gives a heartfelt speech for the camera. Not a promo.
Soliloquy.
Yes, a monologue. He says, Shawn Michaels, he wasn't everyone's idea of a perfect champion. He was flamboyant. He was a showman. And yes, he was a ladies' man. And some people didn't like that. But with his actions at Survivor Series, Shawn proved what kind of man he was. He proved he was a good man. And he proved he was a man's man.
That's right. A man's man.
So goofy.
It was very, very wacky.
Lee Cassidy and Bob Holly, subbing, I believe, for Marty Jannetty.
Yeah, they played Marty Jannetty's music, and there was no Marty Jannetty. It was Bob, Holly, and Al Snow against Furnace and LaFawn.
Making their Raw debut, Doug Furnace and Phil LaFawn, who came out, by the way, and it didn't last. But Furnace and LaFawn come out, and they are accompanied by Captain Lou Albano.
Yes. Oh, my God. Can you hear this cat?
Clearly, I can hear the cat.
Wolf. No, baby. No. So I try and talk to my cat. No, Wolf. No. Oh, my God.
Do you feed the cats?
They just ate.
Oh.
But he has a toy, and so he brings it and presents it outside my door.
I see.
That's what he's doing right now.
To show you his trophy.
Yes, he's bringing me his kill. Wolf, good. Very good. Okay, you got it. Oh, look at that. He's quiet now.
There you go.
Where were we? Oh, this match.
LaFawn and Captain Lou.
Yeah, Captain Lou is doing commentary with the Spanish announcers.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they played it, and it was clear that, of course, he did not speak Spanish, but he was pretending to.
Yes. He knew lucha.
He knew lucha, he knew sí, and he knew no.
Yes.
So, Furnace and LaFawn were very, very much the wrong team, in the wrong company, at the wrong time.
Thank you. When you just opened the door and threw his kill in here, which hopefully will quiet him down. Yes, Furnace and LaFawn.
Yeah. So they're out here, and I understand. I've never seen them myself, but I understand they had some amazing, classic, all-time great tag matches in All Japan Wrestling. That's a different audience and a different presentation than Monday Night Raw at any point.
Yeah, but you know what? This is still funny. They decided that they were going to have an All Japan match in a WWF ring in 1996.
Kinda.
We had Frankensteiners. We had a dragon suplex. We had a half Nelson German dropping Al right on his fucking head.
Yeah.
This was wild.
There was a lot of moves. There were so many moves you don't see, but I was watching this whole thing thinking, this team was doomed.
Yeah.
For what the people behind this company wanted, and in fact what their audience wanted, Holly and Cassidy were in fact a much better team.
Well, WWE 1996 or WWF, they were a more traditional WWF tag team. That goes without saying.
Yeah.
But you know
So,
what?
I mean,
You know what, though? They brought in Furnace and LaFawn, and they got their win here on Raw in their debut. What a novel concept.
that's true. That is true. They tried something new. It didn't work out, and in hindsight, it is crystal clear why it didn't work out. But they gave it their all. That is
Yeah.
true.
Very surprised they let, I guess it was the New Rockers, and they always did that double super kick spot. But, well, it's kind of funny when your top star has a super kick for a finish, and they're just letting Al Snow and, run in there and just do all these super kicks. It was weird. But that was their spot, I guess, so there you go.
Yes. Sid came out for a promo. This was bizarre. Okay, let's start from the beginning. The man's name and gimmick is Psycho.
Yes. Psycho Sid.
He is dangerous and not trustworthy. Then we just saw the night before, he committed a heinous act of violence on a senior citizen.
Tried to kill him. Full cardiac arrest.
Tried to kill him as an underhanded way to defeat the champion because he couldn't beat him in a fair fight.
Yes. All true.
These are all evil things. Then he comes out. He's touching fans' knuckles on the way down to the ring. As he enters, by the way, they let you know that you could buy a plaque that had a picture of Sid and a piece of the ring rope from the title match.
Dude, they still sell that stuff today. They'll sell like a plaque with part of the canvas from WrestleMania signed by whoever was in the main event.
Can you imagine having in your study, in your home, Sid's plaque on your wall?
Hell, when you're a big Sid fan.
I guess.
There's a lot of those in garages somewhere, Vinny, right now.
Apparently. So Jim Ross interviews Sid. His first question was, do you have any remorse for your actions? And Sid said he had great respect for Lothario, but Jose was the one who put himself in the apron, made himself a piece in the game, he said.
That's right.
And Sid, that's the way Sid plays the game.
Hey, you know what? He's right. It was Jose Lothario's fault. He never should have got up on the apron. He deserved to be hit in the chest with a giant camera and go into full cardiac arrest.
That's right.
Obey the rules, everyone.
He had it coming.
Yes.
So then Sid says he will grant Shawn a rematch whenever he wants. He adds, I'll win that match too.
Yeah.
Ross made the formal announcement that Bret Hart will be challenging for the title in December at, I presume, the In Your House or whatever they had.
That's right.
And up to this point, Sid was doing great.
Hey, he had a great promo last week. He had a great promo this week. Until.
Yes, he was intense. He was making good points. He was enthralling. He was interesting. And then he had to pronounce the word wrestling. And maybe hanging out with Vince McMahon made this difficult, but it took him at least 3 tries to say wrestling. And then he referred to Bret as Bret Man.
Bret the Bret Man. The Hit
Bret the Bret
Man,
Man.
he adds later.
Yep. And eventually he vowed to win, and that was that. And what a strange character this was.
Hey, I'm a big fan of Sid's interviews. They were preposterous. A lot of them were hideous, but he was captivating.
He's captivating. That's a good word. Captivating.
Yes.
He does have a line in here, by the way.
Captivating.
Before Bret Man, he explained that at one point he thought he was never going to wrestle again, but the people had called him back, the people had made him champion, and for them, he would be a fighting champion.
That's what he said.
So what Sid was in November of 1996 as WWF World Champion, he was an evil, dangerous, psychotic cheater who fought for the people.
Yes. Absolutely
All
correct.
Right. Okay.
You know what's interesting about this is they were very clearly, because this was still WWF. This was still mid-90s WWF, where it was still built around the superhero babyface champion. And if you were a heel, you got the belt for a short period of time to set up another superhero babyface champion taking it. And very clearly here, they're setting up Sid to be the fall guy for either Bret or Shawn. We won't spoil it yet, everybody, how this thing goes. But obviously, either Bret or Shawn is going to win, and what they're getting ready to do is Shawn Michaels versus Bret Hart 2 at WrestleMania. And oh, how that turns out.
Things change.
What an exciting period of time we're about to get into here.
If you are a fan of current WWE in 2015, and you think things are chaotic around Survivor Series now and wondering how they're going to get to WrestleMania, you have no idea
Oh, yeah.
what these people were going through.
Montreal is like the greatest storyline of all time that wasn't a storyline.
Yes. And that, by the way, is still a year away.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. A lot of shit's about to go down in the next year.
This really would have been, in hindsight, this would have been the best year to have an Observer subscription.
Oh, yeah. Hey.
Backstage fights.
Dude.
Everyone trying to get out of the contract.
They're all up on the website right now. Every last single one of them, 96 and 97, if you want to follow this in detail as you listen to these shows. Yeah.
Monday Nitro, number 63, November 25th, 1996. They announced that Roddy Piper had appeared at World War III the night before, and he had signed a contract to wrestle Hollywood Hogan at Starrcade in December.
Vinny, hold on one second. I hate to interrupt you at the beginning, but let's do Raw first like we do every week for the past 2 years.
I legit couldn't remember.
You've got to be kidding me.
Couldn't remember which one we did first.
I didn't want to say anything. He was doing a fine job.
Here's how you remember. The shorter one goes first.
Bruh,
What are you saying?
nothing.
Monday Night Raw, number 186. Still November 25th, 1996. That part's true. It opened with Bret Hart versus Owen Hart, which means you got Bret's awesome music and his awesome wrestling.
You know, I understand that they're trying to have a wrestling war with Nitro, and they're trying to get the gun, or they're trying to jump the gun, or whatever. But can you believe that Bret versus Owen Hart opened the show? And then we had the Wild Man, Mark Marrow, and Billy Gunn in the main event.
Yes.
Yeah, that happened.
Wow.
So Bret took off his sunglasses, gave them to a little girl with black hair. Maybe it was AJ.
Could have been.
Got a split screen with Shawn Michaels walking into Jose Lothario's living room. Oh, what this led to. They had a great wrestling match. They did great grappling. Bret started taking his best turnbuckle bumps in the world. Owen put him in a camel clutch and screamed, "Loser." I felt that needed to be reported. The announcers are going off about how Psycho Sid has suddenly developed an enormous fan following. It appears there's a change in the wrestling landscape. Indeed.
It was awesome later on when they're talking to Shawn, and Shawn's the great babyface champion, or he was the champion, and now all of these fans are booing Shawn Michaels, and they bring it up, and I was like, here we are, 1996, and the fans are booing the babyface champion, and they still, to this day, cannot figure out what to do. Although they knew what to do in 96, they just had Shawn say, I don't give a shit.
Yes.
Boo me, cheer me, I don't care.
Indeed. So they had a fun match, and then Bret was going for the sharpshooter when Steve Austin ran out and clubbed him with a chair. Even though this cost him the match, Owen was fine with it because it meant Bret was getting beat up. He's standing in the corner applauding as Austin goes to Pillmanize the ankle. However, this is too much for British Bulldog. He runs out, he pulls the chair off Bret's leg. They all bicker. Finally, Austin drops Bulldog with a chair, so now Owen is pissed with Austin, but Austin doesn't care about any of this, and he leaves. It was a fun match while it lasted.
Watching these two exchange holds and work a hammerlock and escape, work a hammerlock and escape. This is a thing of beauty.
This was a great match. And I will repeat what I said last week, and that was that Steve Austin has totally turned this show around. Do you remember 1 month ago? This show sucked every single week.
Yes.
To a comical degree. All we could talk about was, my God, Nitro is such a great show. And Nitro wasn't even a great show a lot of the weeks, but it was so much better than Raw. This one guy has turned this show around. And Bret came back. I should add that.
In his Monday Night Raw debut, The Executioner versus Freddie Joe Floyd.
You know, sometimes I watch these old Raws and I remember every single thing that happened on them. Like, I can remember promos word for word.
Yeah.
I was writing the newsletter a year earlier, and there were some promos that I thought were so good that I transcribed them. That's how closely I paid attention to these shows. I have no memory whatsoever of the Executioner. I have completely blocked him out of my mind. I can't remember anything he did. Every time I see him, it's brand new. A man in a costume with a fake plastic axe. Now, granted, after this next pay-per-view with The Undertaker, he's out of here. So it was a very, very, very short period of time. But you would think I would remember something like this. I didn't. It's like he never existed. It's like an alternate timeline that he existed in that I did not grow up in.
Well, after appearing for about a month now and always looking lost and confused in every single segment he was in, they just let him wrestle, and Lord knows this was not all Japan Terry Gordy, but it's not like he forgot how to work.
He was all right.
He had a sloppy drop kick. Other than that, everything was fine. And actually looked leaner than he did for most of his career. I did find it quite ironic that as the Executioner, who was Terry Gordy under a mask, as he's working him over in the corner, they go to a split screen with Doc Hendricks showing the pay-per-view or whatever. Actually, he was reporting that Austin had left the building, Bulldog and Owen were refusing to talk, and he hoped to get an interview with Hitman later. So, Executioner won with the Asian Spike.
Asian Spike.
Not the Asiatic.
Yeah.
Asian Spike. And that was that. And then right before they go to commercial, they did a 10-second live inset shot with Shawn and Jose on the couch. Two hysterical things about this. One, Shawn Michaels in 1996, a spitting image for Bret Michaels in 2015.
Truth and fact.
Two, and I guess this leads into the change in his character they were starting this week, but you've never seen a man with less desire to be on television.
I like to bring up the fact that Jose Lothario had a painting of himself on the wall.
Well, there was that.
That too.
I thought it was funny because I have one, but someone made it for me as a joke. Apparently, he had this made for him.
It's not just that he has a picture of himself. It's the fact that he has a picture of himself shirtless.
Yes.
And flexing.
Well, it's his wrestling gimmick.
He was Lothario.
He was a Lothario. That's right, Vinny.
So they picked up with this after the commercial break. Jose first took over, and he started to apologize for his heart attack.
Let's pause for a moment and recap what Vinny just noted. His name was Jose Lothario.
Mm.
This guy.
Yeah.
Lothario.
Yes. You don't think
I guess
he's
every
much of a catch?
Lothario gets old.
Well,
That's the problem with being a Lothario.
yes. So, yeah, he's apologizing for his heart attack as Shawn is sitting there shaking his head. They announced Shawn will get his rematch, for the championship at the Royal Rumble, whoever was champion at the time. And Shawn Michaels in 1996 said, "Some people think I'm over the hill."
Yeah.
He wasn't, if you're wondering. He admitted that somewhere in the past year he had lost his edge. That was his own fault. That's why Sid was able to beat him, but he could always get another title shot. Jose can never be replaced. Which is true. He was appalled Sid had hit an old man with a camera. He was hoping Sid would beat Bret Hart in their championship match so he could beat Sid at the Rumble. He didn't care who the fans cheered for. He was not going to beg for their love, but he vowed he would be champion again, and that was all he cared about. So Vince asked, "Will you still be a flamboyant risk taker?" And that's almost a quote. Shawn said he's going to be more of that than ever, and starting right now was no more Mr. Nice Guy. He was going to do whatever it took to win. He emphatically said that he would win. It was a great promo. Pissed off Shawn Michaels. And as he's finishing up, they went to a split screen, and I don't know what they were planning to show. I assume it was Sunny. But there, on the left side is Shawn Michaels finishing his rant. On the right side of the screen, warming up, Rocky Maivia.
That's right.
That was probably accidental, but quite a passing the torch visual.
The Shawn Michaels promo that this guy cut right here, he was very crazed, wild, and kind of annoying as a fan.
Were you watching his mouth?
I was trying not to.
He had a great sneer.
Yeah. He had a great something going on.
He has a very deep Elvis Presley,
like
Bob Holly
I don't want to
sneer.
recreate it because I'll start doing it.
It's like a Billy Idol.
Yeah.
It was something. Yeah, I could understand why the fans were booing this man at this point.
Sunny came out. She danced with Vince. Dancing Vince is never not funny.
Have we gone over the Karate Fighters Holiday Tournament, or is that next?
We have not.
Okay. I want to make sure we don't miss that.
Sable versus Sunny in the semifinals of the Karate Fighters Tournament. Sunny won. But the ref examined her karate fighter and found that he had been stuck to the toy with gum.
Huh.
He disqualified Sunny. Thus, Sable advanced to the finals via DQ.
I saw the wheels turn in your head, Alvarez.
How about that? I was just thinking that Sonny threw a great right hand.
No, she
Impressed.
didn't.
What are you talking about? It was awesome.
But she punched the ref?
Yeah.
That was terrible.
Yes, it was awesome.
It left me in awe. I guess you're right.
She swung very, very slowly, connected, and he flew into the air. I thought it was great. What could be better for this holiday tournament? A good punch?
Sal Sincere versus, in his Monday Night Raw debut, Rocky Maivia.
Yep.
He went on to have a much better Raw career than the Executioner.
I called this the Battle of the Bad Hair.
Rock had terrible hair.
The worst.
Sal had the bowl cut mullet.
Right.
The mullet with bangs. Mm-hmm. That was pretty terrible as well.
It's quite a match. Rocky was you know who Rocky reminded me of? Think of all of the guys we saw on Nitro. What wrestler reminded you the most on that show of young Rocky Maivia?
I haven't a clue.
I got nothing, dude.
Alex Wright.
Okay, sure.
Young babyface.
Yeah.
A lot of drop kicks.
Yeah.
A lot of jumping.
A lot of jumping.
A lot of clapping.
800 arm drags.
Did 2 leapfrogs, a bunch of arm drags.
Yeah.
Very excited.
Yeah, the only thing he was missing was the big famous, whatever they call that thing, the flying head scissors. He didn't do any of those.
He didn't do the cool dance.
He was a little heavier. Couldn't do that one, but yeah, what an old school baby face.
It was very old school. He was a total white meat baby face here. Sonny was on commentary just drooling over him, noting you could build an entire organization around this man.
Really?
Indeed.
Fact.
They had a nothing match, and Rock won with a shoulder breaker.
Yep. It was fun.
Shoulder breaker.
Yeah, that was his finish.
Yeah.
My shoulder hurt so bad I cannot kick out. Yeah. Mark Merrow and Sable cut a promo backstage. I guess Merrow cut the promo. He said Hunter Hearst Helmsley would be at commentary at ringside, and that was going to make it hard to concentrate. But after his match with Billy Gunn, he was going to punch Hunter right in his nose. Then he screamed, "It's time to get wild!" And he paused a beat, and he asked, "Can't you tell?"
I loved that Sable is standing right next to him, his wife, and he's out of his mind, and he's frothing at the mouth, and he's ranting and raving, and she's just looking at him like he's nuts, and he finally gets done screaming, and she calmly puts her hand on his chest as if to try to calm this wild beast.
He's the wild man.
I thought, well, Brock, I guess probably had the same deal.
That's actually a good point.
It needed to be calmed regularly.
Yes. So, Billy Gunn versus Mark Merrow with Hunter Hearst Helmsley on commentary. Vince tried to make a joke about Hunter's nose, and he was trying to be like Gorilla Monsoon and use obscure anatomical terms, and he's trying to think of proboscis, and he says something like he's gonna come over here and hit you in your, and he pauses, he's thinking, you can hear the wheels turning in his head, and he comes up with projectile.
That's what that was.
Yes. That's what he was saying.
Projectile.
Then he talked about how Hunter was the one who had brought Sable into the WWF in the first place, noting he was the one who had, quote, cut the promo and brought her in. The good thing about this match was that Hunter was on commentary, and by and large, he was pretty entertaining and funny. The bad thing in this match is everything else.
They had a very, 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 very long match. I try to find fun things about it, like
Good luck.
an early Fame Asser,
That was in there.
which was basically Billy Gunn is running, and the guy goes for a backdrop, and Billy just throws his leg in the air and falls ass first on the back of the guy's head.
It was hideously dull. Mark Merrow would hit a move, then nothing would happen. Excuse me, Billy Gunn would hit a move, then nothing would happen for a while. Then hit another move, then nothing would happen for a while. 10 minutes of this. The most exciting point, and this you've mentioned this before, but Billy's about to go up top, but he stops to mock Sable and do some poses. And that's when it really hit you. the drastic changes in this man's physique. Yeah. In the next few years, and really the next 2 decades. I'm looking at him with his no abs and his flat chest and his noodle arms. He started taking his protein shakes.
Well, 2 years.
Yes.
1999. He's going to be a new man. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, Hunter goes to harass Sable. This distracts Mero. Billy does it on the floor, and they just double team him for the DQ. And then Jake Roberts runs out for the save to set up a tag match. And this show fell off a pretty steep cliff after the opener. But I must admit, there's something kind of cool about seeing The Rock, Stone Cold, Triple H, and Mr. Ass all very shortly before they became huge stars.
Mr. Ass.
Okay, granted.
I cannot believe you added him to the list.
There was a brief time.
He was very popular.
The New Age Outlaws had a very brief run as huge stars.
Yes, but of the three,
of the four, he is one who does not fit. Yes.
One is not a first ballot Hall of Famer.
No.
That would be Billy Gunn.
But he was a huge star.
But you know what I will say?
Certainly bigger than Billy Gunn.
I will say that I went to a house show in Seattle one time when they were here, and Billy Gunn and the New Age Outlaws did in fact get the biggest pop I ever heard in my life.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not making that up.
Oh, yeah.
Anybody who was there can confirm it was the loudest pop I've ever heard. The fucking New Age Outlaws.
Their run as top guys didn't last more than like 6 months compared to Rock, Austin, and Hunter, and even Taker were around forever and ever. But for those 6 months, they were as big as, well, not Austin, but they were as big as anyone else.
The other thing I wanted to mention was we watch Raw nowadays, and you always know I have my hand on the clicker when it's time to go to commercial.
I thought of this too, yeah.
Yep. You know that somebody gets sent outside, and then Michael Cole's going to say, and Raw rolls on. And they go to commercial, and they come back, and the match keeps going. It's a little different here. The pattern they have here is when they go to commercial near the end of the show, or in any match, really, the moment they come back, it's time for the finish. Every time. Go to commercial, come back, there's like 2 minutes to do your finish, and then you go home. It's fascinating to watch.
Maybe the pattern will sink in after I watch a lot more shows. Right now, it feels much more fresh. Even
I already see the pattern.
Perhaps I'm dumber than you.
Yeah.
All I know is after 20 years of what they do on Raw now, this comes off as not necessarily good, because that Billy Gunn match sucked, but at least different.
There's an interview on the front page of our website right now, if you want to go up there, with Scott Hudson, and I'll just read the headline if you have not seen it. Scott Hudson, quote, Michael Cole sucks, and, quote, JBL is terrible.
Breaking news.
I don't know if I want to blame Michael Cole, but Vince McMahon has a lot of problems as an announcer, as we mentioned here on this show, but goddamn, he's excited. He is into the product.
Well, it's his.
And Jim Ross is into the product when he's on. Jerry Lawler's into the product when he's on. The geeks they have coming out to do commentary seem like they're into the product when it's on. It is very refreshing to see announcers who don't totally suck and act bored to death as they're covering a show.
Fact.
Speaking of that, also, this is the first week where Jim was actually on commentary the whole show.
Honest to God, I didn't even notice.
Yeah. He was there from beginning to end instead of just the main event segment.
How about that? All right, that was Raw.